President Trump announcing the latest developments in the Gaza peace deal. Writing on Truth Social today, the Board of Peace reached a historic agreement for the complete disarmament of Hamas and all other groups in Gaza. As disarmament is completed, Israeli forces will withdraw. Under this agreement, Gaza will finally be in the hands of the new Palestinian government that serves its people. Here to react, retired four-star general, Fox News senior strategic analyst, chairman of the Institute of Study Award, General Jack Keane. General, how would you describe this point in Gaza?
Yeah, well, this is a huge step forward. I mean, clearly, this goes back to October of 25, when President Trump brokered the deal, remember, to get the hostages out in exchange for prisoners, to go to a ceasefire, and also to get humanitarian relief in for the Palestinian people. And then they put together a framework going forward, which would eventually get Hamas to disarm, give up political and military control, and Israel would pull out of the Gaza area. But of course, Hamas has been resisting all of that for months since that time. 9 months have passed, but the persistence of the Trump team here deserves a lot of credit, and also Egypt participating, Turkey and Qatar in this. So what have we got here? We actually have Hamas wanting to move in this direction. And why is that taking place? Well, one, Hamas had a tactical success on October 7, 23, for sure, but a strategic failure. Why is that? Their organization, 2/3 of the fighters are dead. All of the original leaders are dead. They are a shattered organization, not capable of conducting any consequential attack on Israel. And as such, their major benefactor since that time is at war with the United States and Israel. So they're not able to provide the kind of support and sustainment to Hamas that they're used to getting. Also, they have received support. People don't want to talk about it, from Qatar for years and Turkey as well, and they're not providing any support. They're cutting it off from them, and other benefactors that are individual investors see no future in the organization. So financially and materially, their support is drying up and they can't recover themselves. So that is added pressure in terms of what is actually taking place here. Now, the key going forward is going to be implementation and verification. And I've looked at this process, and it looks like a pretty good process. There's a lot of verification in it, phased, in terms of Hamas has to give up their tunnels, their weapons production, their weapons depots, their heavy weapons, rockets, mortars, eventually their assault weapons. All of that's phased. Israel would withdraw from where it is right now to the yellow line, which is still well within Gaza for sure. It's a buffer zone that they've established on the border of Israel and Gaza itself. All of this will certainly take time, and we can't trust Hamas. We already know that. They lie and they cheat. That's why this verification process that's phased in is going to be critical. And eventually, Palestinian committee would take over control. If this is it, things are working out, there'd be a Palestinian security force and an international stabilization force headed up by a two-star Army general. So the process is moving forward. Many people thought it would never get moving forward because of Hamas's resistance, but this is progress. Credit the Trump team for staying with this and not abandoning it. 9 months later, we have some daylight here, and hopefully a path forward that makes sense for everybody.
Let's do some of the mechanical things. Hamas says we're not going to do that until we have a guarantee of a Palestinian state. They have said they're going to freeze or put on ice their arms and reveal those tunnel situations. And what people should understand, too, Israel has no interest in running Gaza. They have no interest in being in Lebanon. They're doing it for security reasons. If you don't believe it, why are they not in the Sinai Peninsula? They cut a peace deal with Egypt. They pull out. They don't want territory. They want peace. And who's stopping it? It's Iran, which brings us to the next moment. So the president's going to meet. Among as many things he's going to talk about at Camp David is whether he's going to go ahead with maybe Epic Fury 2. And really hit Iran hard, because they are hitting various Gulf state allies hard and trying to spread this war out. What would you like to see the president do, General Keane?
Well, I think, first of all, certainly they're likely going through an assessment of where are we. So we went to a ceasefire on April the 7th and then negotiations on the 8th. And that was after 38 days of Epic Fury, and we had about 14 days to go. The ceasefire, the incentive to do that was who? It was Iran was saying they were willing to talk about removing restrictions on the Strait of Hormuz. Well, here we are almost 4 months later, and we're nowhere near a deal over the Straits of Hormuz, which is the original reason for going to the ceasefire. And there's no prospects, I think, of any deal on a nuclear enterprise. Certainly, I believe our negotiating team has got to come to the conclusion that we are not going to make a deal with them. Now, they thought the deal was possible, and they kept telling that to the president, for sure. But the facts speak for themselves, and time certainly is a determination here. After 4 months, I don't think we're close to either one of them. So what are the prospects? Listen, we go back to major combat operations. We've got a couple of months left to do it. This is Israel and the United States. Our target list has expanded rather significantly because of intelligence that we have. Our capability has increased since we stopped Epic Fury almost 4 months ago on the Israeli side and on the U.S. side. So it's going to be much more comprehensive, much more massive. It'll force, I believe, a pathway for the regime to collapse. And we can also conduct covert activities with the CIA and the Mossad to help break apart that regime and also provide some assistance to the Iranian people. I think that is the most realistic path going forward after what we have been through for almost the last 4 months in trying to negotiate with people who have no intention to make a deal.
General, thanks so much. Sometimes you have to escalate to de-escalate, and I think that's what we're looking at now. General Jack Keane, always great. We'll keep our fingers crossed over in Gaza. Thanks so much, General.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.